Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Thursday, the 16th of December, 2021, Thursday of the third week of Advent. Coming to you as I'm walking down past our pastoral offices, this side of the church over there, down to morning drop-off at our school, at the Franciscan School. Today is the last day that we will listen to Preface 1 of the Eucharistic prayer for Advent. Remember, Advent has two prefaces, one that is used from the beginning of Advent until the 16th of December, and then one that is used from the 17th of December down to the 24th. That first preface is basically about Christ's return, and again, those immortal lines within that preface that speak of God having fulfilled the plan God formed long ago, opening for us the way to eternal salvation. Again, that very Franciscan, John Duns Scotus, remarked that regardless of whether or not there was an apple, a snake, a tree, whatever, a garden, at the beginning of time, the sending of Christ was meant to happen because it was God's plan, and not because we did anything wrong or had to clean, or God had to clean up whatever act happened or whatever it is. Beginning tomorrow on the 17th, the preface begins now to focus more precisely and more narrowly or more pointedly upon the birth of Christ in history, the coming of Christ in history at Bethlehem. And so today, the last of and our readings will also change then to kind of focus in on the fulfillment of these great prophecies that God proclaimed in preparation for the coming of the Messiah. The readings, though, for today, our last readings in this first part of Advent, basically again focus upon, again, a God who removes disgrace, a God who makes the barren fertile, a God who basically makes sure that all of those that find lacking and wanting in the world are fulfilled. It's not about guilt, it's not about punishments, it's not about paying back or retributions or feeling sorry for whatever it is. It's not about guilt, it's not about pain, it's not about trying to show God how sorry we are for whatever it is. It is God basically who sees the world in desperate need of healing, and a God basically who does that, who heals, without us basically having to do anything to call upon it, to merit it, to earn it again and again. Advent is this wonderful stress upon the fact that God is the one who decides what needs to be done and does it, period. Nothing more needs to be said than that. And so that is why, again, when we look at today's gospel, again, coming from Luke, there's this great play up. Again, it's a continuation of yesterday's gospel in which, John's messengers go to Jesus and say, are you the one or not? Because don't waste our time. And when they leave, Jesus says to the rest, when John was preaching, who did you go out to see in the desert? A reed swaying in the wind? No, a prophet, and even more than a prophet, because it was not just somebody who was forecasting what God will do. It was somebody who was preparing us for what God is doing. And yet, again, this great play up of John and what John was, and then Jesus saying, yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. Notice that there is no qualification of that. There is no the least in the greatest of heaven, who has done tremendous penances and who has climbed tremendous mountains, who has done all these kinds of things. Will inherit heaven. It is basically those who are least. And again, those who are least, as the parentheses in this reading then goes on to say, are the tax collectors and the prostitutes. Those who nobody thinks are of any worth of any account. Those can become greater than John the Baptist in the kingdom if they respond to this wonderful invitation of God to enter into life into its fullest. Advent has been about that, and entering into life in its fullest because of what God is doing in becoming one like us. It doesn't really count upon how much we do and how much we invest in many ways and how much we show that we are deserving or meriting of this. It is all God's doing, and all that we need to do is be open and receptive to it. As we move into the second part of Advent, may that understanding of what it is that God can do in our lives, lead us more deeply into what it means to embrace a Christ who was born for us, who was born for all humanity, all creation, and the wonder and glory that reveals. May the Lord give you his peace.